All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning, or if you're tuning in from elsewhere this evening, potentially, especially our folks from India. But we welcome you. Thank you again. My name is Matt Cornwell. I'm the Associate Director for Student Services, and I work closely with our prospective graduate students and a variety of our current students as well. But today we wanted to hold a session specifically with a couple of our current graduate business students, so you all can get a sense of their experiences in the program, get a chance to ask any questions you might have, and just pick their brains a little bit about what their experiences have been like. For anyone tuning in live, there is a captioning feature at the bottom of your screen. So if you do want to have the captioning available, you can certainly do that towards the bottom there. And then for any questions, we obviously welcome those. So feel free to put those in the chat, or we can even unmute you and you can certainly ask the live question as well. But definitely use the chat feature if there are any questions that you have. All right, but without further ado, I'll throw it to our students here for quick introductions. So Max, I'll start with you. If you can just kind of give us a quick background on your major, your experiences thus far, and just a program that you're pursuing as well.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. My name's Max. Just finished my undergrad here last semester in accounting, and now I'm pursuing my MBA. This is my first semester in the MBA program, so still a little bit new to me, but I hope to offer some insight on my experiences undergrad and making the transition to graduate school.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it. And then Kieran, if you could go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kieran. I'm in the 4+1 MBA program also. I'm in my second semester right now, so I've got a little bit of experience so far. I'm kind of understand how it works, to the best of my knowledge. And I did my undergraduate at SUNY Geneseo, so I finished that up last spring. And yeah, I'm enjoying my time so far.
Awesome. Thank you both. Appreciate that. All right, I do expect one more panelist here to jump on in a couple minutes from our Global Supply Chain MS program, but we'll jump in with a few scripted questions, and then again, any questions that folks have in the audience, we certainly welcome those. So let's just start off the jump, and I think, again, this will be good for both Max and Kieran, just from the outset, what the most challenging part of jumping into grad school was for you. So Max, just given you just started, if you want to jump in with this question first.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've realized to start off is just the type of coursework for the classes is slightly different than my undergrad. I feel as though I'm writing a lot more in grad school, and I think and the writing is more a little bit more advanced and more thoughtful. You have to actually do more outside research, and I just think it really helps understand the material more, especially when you're pursuing an MBA. You learn how different businesses operate and how they overcome challenges and pursue success. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great point. That's definitely a difference that we hear from a lot of students, whether domestic or international students. It's definitely the writing component is a huge part of the coursework. Kieran, anything that you want to add to that one?
Yeah, I think the most challenging part in general for me was just coming from a different undergrad university, the switch in general, just being at a new school, new campus, new people. That's always obviously going to be a challenge. But I would also agree with Max, definitely a lot of writing. And I did my undergrad in economics, so I wasn't doing a ton of writing. But it's definitely, you learn a lot when you're writing, and it's good experience for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you both for that. Those are really good insights. And I think I think we want to approach this from the lens of, yes, we want you to come to RIT, but I think also just understanding the grad school atmosphere in general across universities, I think is important too, because it's definitely an uptick. And, we have students come in all the time that think, hey, I can handle this. I can do 5 or 6 classes, but it's like, no, slow the roll. Like, you don't want to put too much out in front of you, and you also want it to be, you know, a good experience for you as well. And, you know, if in addition, if you're working on top of that, you know, those are all factors. So I think keep that in mind as well. As we have a lot of students that come in thinking, oh, hey, I can manage this, but it's a lot to take on. So just be mindful of that. So the next piece is, and for Max, certainly if there's undergrad stuff that you want to highlight here as well, I think that's fine. There's a lot of overlap with Saunders from an undergrad and graduate standpoint. A lot of our faculty are teaching on both sides. I think the experiences, you know, students are interacting from a interdisciplinary standpoint on stuff, especially in clubs and things like that. But so for the next question, what do you feel has been a highlight of your Saunders experience thus far?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it does seem like there's been a lot of overlap undergrad and grad
Right.
school. So just one of the things I've always noticed and appreciated was there's there's always something going on in Saunders. Whether that's networking events or club events, there's so many different opportunities to get immersed with and grow your network, which I'm a big fan of doing. Um, so I feel like that would be a highlight for me, as well as just every single day it feels like, we're getting an email from someone from Saunders about a networking opportunity or a guest speaker coming in, or just different resources to help you get a co-op or a full-time position once you graduate.
No, yeah, that's great. And I think that's one of the things that we really emphasize and focus is obviously the career outcomes. That's why you're here, right? That's why you are here as a domestic student, and why you come from an international university is because you want to, you know, secure those opportunities, employment. So that's big. Kieran, so I'm interested from your standpoint with this question too, just given obviously you were at a different university. So what's been that experience for you, the highlight or
I
highlights?
would say so far the highlight has been the professors and being able to like make meaningful connections with them. They have a lot more to offer than just, teaching the coursework. And so far my experience has been that they're there to help you, from a career standpoint, personal growth. So it's been really nice to be able to make those meaningful connections that I think will carry me beyond my graduate program.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as well. I mean, all the research says that the faculty connection piece is one of the biggest indicators of success in college. So I think whether that's undergrad and grad, it's you know, irregardless of the level that you're studying, that's very valuable, and it's really, really important. So I'm glad to hear that as well. Um, so kind of going down to speaking to folks that are, you know, viewing this and attending, what advice would you have for students starting their degree within Saunders College of Business? Is there one or two important pieces that you would highlight here? Kieran, I'll start with you, and then we can go to Max for next.
I would say to just immerse yourself, even if you end up at RIT, if you end up somewhere else, whatever program you're in, it is what you make of it. And especially at RIT, there's a lot that they have to offer. Like Max said, a lot of networking events and other just student life, those kind of things. So take advantage of everything that is available to you because it's only going to make your experience that much better.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Kieran. Max, anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, I mean, Kieran touched on it on her last answer about um, a highlight being making meaningful connections with your professors. And I think especially if you're entering RIT grad program from a different school, you're gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I think one of the easiest ways to just start to feel more comfortable is to talk to your professors and build that connection with them, because they are there as a resource. And I've found in my time here that um, they're never going to push you away if you want to ask questions or even just talk career path stuff with them. Um, so I guess a piece of advice would just be to really use them as resources and not just go through the steps of attending class, going home, attending class, going home. So
Yeah, I think putting yourself out there is huge, for sure. And it's a key component. So yeah, no, thank you both for that. So the next piece, and again, Max, I know the undergrad grad stuff, you know, certainly melding together here, but Have either of you joined any clubs or organizations while a student here? And if yes, which one and why did you specifically join that club?
Yeah, so part of the business school, I've joined the Next Generation of Accountants Club, which is both for undergraduate and graduate students. And I joined that just because my undergrad's in accounting and that's the career I'm pursuing. And in that club, it's a bi-weekly meeting, and every single meeting we're bringing in a different guest speaker in the accounting professional field. And I've enjoyed my time with it. I was served as president my junior year, and I've been in it since my sophomore year. So really enjoyed that club.
I haven't really had time to join any clubs or organizations, so I'm not a great example, but I do stuff outside of class, and I take a full course load as well as working in a couple different facets. So I haven't really had time, but that's not to say don't do it because I would love to do it if I did.
Yeah, so Kieran, and I know obviously you work with us in student services. Are you working anything else on campus or elsewhere outside of campus?
I nanny for a family, so that is what
Okay.
takes up the majority of my time
A lot
outside
of,
of class
right.
and work.
But I think that's important to highlight too, again, for domestic or international students is for international students, you can work on campus for up to 20 hours a week. So you have that potential. And those jobs can be anything from supporting faculty and research. We have grad student worker positions to, helping us in student services as Kieran does, to RIT has their own dining services. So a lot of international students will work there as well. And again, some of that stuff may not be tied directly to your major, right? But again, it's still giving you tangible experience, allowing you to make some money while you're here. A lot of that is some teamwork stuff that you have to work through and those project-oriented things as well. So, but there are those good opportunities to work on campus. And I know for international students, that's what you need. You have to be able to do that and work on campus. And then to Max's point with the clubs, I think the big thing with those is, and as Max mentioned, though these aren't just clubs that are getting together to just talk and it's very much focused on professional outcomes, right? We're bringing in alumni, and I know all the clubs do this, right? We have a business technology professionals club that brings in guest speakers all the time, holds events. Women in business, they just held a leadership summit 2 weekends ago that was attended by over 200 plus people in the RIT community, the outside community. So there's a lot that happens that even if you're here for just 1 year, 1.5 years in your grad program, that you can get involved with and even just attend as a person trying to learn and gain information. So I think that's really important to understand is that these clubs are very much intended to give you those opportunities to grow professionally. So great, thank you both for that. And Kieran, if you would want to speak to any relevant work experience here, but I know Max, you did a co-op as an undergrad. So can you just speak to that co-op experience and then how you feel it has prepared you for the workforce? Obviously, the co-op piece, the career piece being a big part of what we do at RIT.
Yeah, so I haven't had the opportunity to do a co-op yet at RIT. I'm looking for summer opportunities for this upcoming summer, but in my undergrad, I did do 2 internships with Canandaigua National Bank, which is a regional bank to Rochester. And I was in HR with them. And for me personally, I have had a hard time kind of figuring out specifically what I want to do when I graduate. So doing a co-op and getting that relevant experience just to try and kind of figure out what I do like, what I don't like, what I can see myself doing in the future has been really helpful. And I mean, specific to my co-op, the people that I was working with were super helpful. They let me kind of rotate around the bank and just get different people's perspectives and learn about their career paths and all the things that are kind of available to you. So that was kind of just vital to my personal and professional growth, I think, this far. I'm really looking forward to hopefully doing one this upcoming summer because I'm still trying to figure out specifically what I want to do, but I would definitely recommend it. Even if it's not required for your program, it's a great way to kind of pick up some extra experience for a short period of time.
Thanks, Kieran. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to do two co-ops throughout my undergrad experience. My first one was after my sophomore year with the Bonadio group in Syracuse, New York. And then last summer, I was in Boston with Deloitte doing an audit internship. And I just think they, I mean, like Kieran touched on, it gives you an opportunity to go work at a firm and, learn what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And it's only for, a 3 or 4 month period, and you really just get to grow and again expand your network and hopefully, turn that into a full-time position, which I did with Deloitte, and I'll be starting there in the fall of 2025 once I'm done with my MBA here. So I just think the co-op program and RIT's emphasis on it really helps you get that real world experience without making such a full-time commitment that comes after college. So.
Yeah, no, I think both of you made great points there. I think a co-op, as Max alluded to, it can be a great opportunity to grow your network. It also can be good in determining what you do want to do, but also more importantly, what you might not want to do. That happens too, and that's okay. That's why you get this experience, and it's short term, so you don't have to, continue plugging away with it. Especially in a field like accounting and finance, there's so many different niches within those areas that it can really set the stage for what makes sense for you going forward. I will say the other thing with the co-ops, just to know, and I think it's really important to understand this from the outset, when you do a co-op, it is a full-time work experience. They're all vetted, so it's very much, it is tangible experience that you're getting in your field, right? It's, much more than just, processing paperwork or just, data entry stuff. Sure, that there might be some of that, but you're really actually getting tangible experience on projects. And when you do the co-op, they're all paid, and you're not paying tuition because you're not taking classes. And we really do like students to kind of focus on the co-op experience without classes on top of it. It just gives you the opportunity to really soak it all in and then put full attention on that. For graduate students, generally speaking, and this goes even for domestic students, but it has to apply for international students, is you would take 2 semesters of coursework and then start your co-op, whether it's typically a lot of times it comes in the summer. So if you start in a fall term, fall, spring, and then you do a co-op in the summer, and then you would finish up any coursework you have left in the following spring term. So a co-op is not required for our graduate programs, but it is optional, and many of our students elect to take advantage of it. Because it is, it just gives you, again, more additional experience that you can put on your resume and gives you the networking opportunities and those types of things. And some students elect to do more than one, even in a graduate program, particularly if they're in an MBA that might take them a little bit longer to complete. So there's those options as well. But the co-op is definitely one of the big differentiators we offer from a career standpoint. We also have 2 very large career fairs each year. We actually have the career fair this week. So we usually bring about 220 employers to campus. We're also hosting a networking event actually today for current students before the career fair. And I got some information earlier this week that about 100 to 110 of the companies are looking specifically at business students to hire. So almost half of those attending. So it's a great opportunity, the career support. There's a lot of other individualized things that occur as well, that you get that individual support, but it's a great opportunity to connect. All right, so we'll do a couple more questions here. I think for both of you, what is kind of a differentiator that you feel has set you apart in the job market, or you anticipate setting you apart in the job market? Like, what are some things that you hit on in your studies or just the extracurricular stuff that you think is going to help differentiate you? And Max, I know you have a full-time gig lined up already, so anything that you felt or that Deloitte had mentioned to you that helped you stand out in the process?
Yeah, I think RIT just puts a big focus on integrating technology with business. And I think being a little bit more tech savvy than maybe some of the others I was around this summer helped me out in my benefit, like with Excel, and different kinds of software. And that's kind of the feedback I got as well from my managers there. I think like an RIT education just made me a little bit quicker with that stuff naturally when I wasn't before coming to RIT. And I think the other part is just, getting involved with different clubs and organizations throughout undergrad and grad school has helped me become a more confident speaker and just a better communicator in general. And I feel like that helped me out this summer as well.
Thanks, Max. So just one follow-up question. So you mentioned the software pieces. What are some, outside of obviously enhancing Excel skills, what are some of the softwares that you've been able to soak in, both education-wise and maybe even with your co-op? What are some of the highlights there?
Yeah, so a little bit of Python. I don't have
Okay.
too much experience coding,
Yeah.
but I have done that in some of the classes here, and I had to do it during both of my internships a little bit. And then as well as I know it's a little bit dated, but Excel VBA coding, which is right in the Excel platform that I used a bunch this summer. And I did take a computer-based analysis class here that touched on that as well. And that really helped me out using that this summer.
Yeah, I think I hear from our students all the time, but the Excel stuff and just the massive tools that are just within Excel, just there's so much that can be done there. So even just, I shouldn't say even just, it's really a strong skill set to have. And then that can just build into further opportunities to grow in other areas. But Kieran, what about for you, especially coming again from a different undergraduate university? What are some things that have stood out for you thus far?
I think with the MBA program specifically, the STEM designation is huge.
Yeah.
Companies are looking for people who have those analytical skills. So having that focus in all of my courses has been something that I feel like will set me apart and prepare me for whatever I end up doing next. So that's been big for me. But also like the softwares, like we were talking about, Excel. I've done a lot with R. Some Tableau, some Minitab. So getting that experience and kind of understanding those a little bit better, I think will be helpful going forward.
Awesome. Thank you both. Yeah, I think it's, we just said, we mentioned the business technology connection a lot. And again, I think there's areas where we still can grow in, but I think we do a really good job of integrating a lot of that stuff into content, and we have to live to that, right? The T is in our name, right? The technology piece is in our name. So we really do have to hold true to that. And I think we do a pretty good job of that overall. And I think we're still learning as well. So things like AI, like how are we going to infuse that into what we're doing? I know we were just having a conversation last night with one of our faculty who uses I think it's MGIS 350, developing business applications. It's an undergrad course, and there's a graduate version as well, but they're using a lot of AI, just project-oriented opportunities for students just to get exposed to it and understand how it's utilized and where it can grow, where it might have limitations as well. It's not a foolproof opportunity. So I think RIT on the whole, they just launched an MS degree in AI as well. So I think that's something that we're focused on. But all of those things, I think Chat GPT, obviously, that's another big thing that has come to the forefront. So being agile with that and infusing it into curriculum and taking those, recommendations on how we put that stuff in to heart, and understanding that what we're doing is not foolproof and it's ever changing. So I think that's a key as well. So the last question, we like to end on this one. Actually, one more before I jump into this one. So, as some of you may know, the Saunders College of Business did undergo a significant building expansion. So it was a $40 million project that just finished up. We really just opened doors in January for our new space. So it doubled the size of our building, added a lot of team room spaces. I know Kieran's in one of the team rooms now. There's a lot of research space for faculty and students, as we do have a PhD program now. Some additional classrooms, case analysis labs. But it's really just opened up the space. It's really definitely helped just give students more space and opportunity to, stay in our building, get stuff done with teams and projects and things. But for Max and Kieran, what have your experiences been like so far with the new space? Like how have you felt it's come into place? Are there any, key components that you really, just latched onto, or anything that you want to highlight with the space itself? I know it's still really new, but anything there that you want to mention?
Yeah, I've just really appreciated the increase in like the different study spots.
Yeah.
I during my undergrad, sometimes, we just had the Saunders pit and there were a couple desks down there, and oftentimes
Yeah.
it'd be tough to get a spot. So you're often finding yourself going elsewhere on campus to go get work done. But the start of this semester, I've just found there's a bunch of just desks here and there, and obviously a bigger building, so more team rooms and more study spaces in general that allow me to just go to class, and then if I have to do more work, I could just stay in the building and do it.
I would say it's definitely the nicest building I have ever had access to in my academic career. The renovations are super nice, and like Max was saying, a lot of space for studying, collaboration. So a lot of the classrooms have desks that are kind of engineered more for that teamwork aspect in your classes. So you can like swivel around, which is cool. But yeah, there's a lot of space, and it can be tough. Like other students from other colleges will come to this building to study. So having the extra space is super beneficial.
Great. Thank you both. Yeah. And um, Max, I don't know how much you were involved with this, but as we were preparing to, do the, architecture of the building and kind of map out the blueprints, we did get pretty strong input from students. And one of the big things was the team room spaces, is having those available. I will also mention across campus, the library was recently redone, and I know they have similar spaces, some new classroom spaces, and we also had a new building affectionately called the Shed, Student Hall for Exploration and Development. That was $100 million project. So that's another new space, very close to our building as well. Just, the 2-minute walk away, if not just, one quick minute away. But that's another space it's a maker space. Again, more opportunities for students just to come together and do what RIT students do best. So we've invested a lot. The university's invested quite a bit with again, all the new spaces, and we have more coming. A performing arts center, bringing the arts, and the technology piece together. That's coming as well. So a lot of emphasis on that, a lot of growth there, and I think that's a very beneficial thing for the entire community. All right, so the last scripted question that I have is one that is often used quite a bit, but why? And I know Max, you kind of have both undergrad and grad piece as well, but what led you to RIT and Saunders College of Business for graduate study specifically?
I would say the ability to get my MBA in 1 year definitely was an added benefit. And it was also, I guess, just getting the experience in undergrad of how the classes work and the type of education I got. I knew that's what I wanted, something similar from my grad school experience. And um, I had just gotten a lot of positive feedback from the previous employers I've worked for with how RITs prepared me. So getting that similar education for grad school is important to me.
And Max, a quick follow-up. So with the CPA, because I know that you're pursuing that, and we actually we just launched a partnership program with Miles Education out of India. So those students, their goal is for the CPA. So they obviously in the US we have that shortage of CPAs, and the goal is just to build up, those opportunities for those students. But how have you felt the curriculum's prepared you for the CPA? Have you started that process at all, and kind of what that's looked like for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of graduate accounting courses available that I'm planning to take in the future. And throughout my undergrad, obviously, I had to take the required accounting courses, and there was an emphasis on how are these concepts relating to the CPA exam? And my current plan is to start it in May. I haven't started studying yet. Probably should get on that. But I'm definitely satisfied with being prepared for the exam and definitely having the resources here to go to if I need any help with it.
Great. Thanks, Max. And then Kieran, anything that you want to add there, just in terms of why you chose, again, particularly from coming from an external school, why you chose Saunders and RIT for grad study?
Yeah, so the 4+1 partnership that RIT had with my undergraduate university was a big pull for me. Being able to do my MBA in 1 year, which for me, it actually ended up being a year and a half, 3 semesters instead of 4, which would be the traditional MBA.
Right.
Just because I didn't do my undergraduate studies in business admin, I was economics. So I had a couple classes that didn't overlap. But that was a huge thing for me. Financially, that takes a lot of the burden off, being able to kind of cut off some of the time. And also the STEM designation was a big pull. That's something that a lot of competitive MBA programs are kind of moving towards. And another piece actually was my dad did his MBA here a while back, but so I knew it was a reputable university. And some of his mentors are actually still here. So that was just kind of an extra added bonus, but it really was the 4+1 that pulled me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point with the 4+1 piece is we're not only are we kind of building those connections domestically, but also internationally. We just launched a new partnership with VIT. We're working on a couple other partnerships with some schools in the Dominican Republic, and even some of our international campuses as well in Dubai and Croatia. Those students are eligible for this, but also furthering those connections. So we're definitely leveraging a lot. The other thing I want to mention too with some of these additional pathways, we are also launching a variety of MS to MBA options that we've just started to put together. So one is, and you'd be able to get these 2 degrees in 2 years, an MS with sustainability and then the MBA. So you'd be able to carry over some classes to the MBA and condense it to 1 year. One with the MS in cybersecurity and the MBA. That's another one that's coming. Very, very popular combination is having the computing piece with the MBA core and that ability to lead and lead teams and understand the business end of things and that decision making processes that go there. And then also the new MS AI program with the MBA as well. So there's some of those are coming, and I know those are very attractive options for everyone, but particularly for MBA or for international students, given the STEM designation, the ability to get those 2 degrees in just 2 years and carry that forward with you into the job market. And with the STEM piece, obviously, for international students staying in the US for that 3-year window. You can certainly return home, but staying in the US for that 3 years on your OPT is definitely attractive as well. But yeah, so that will kind of close out the formal kind of scripted questions. But I do want to open it up to the audience here. So are there any questions that folks have from the audience that we want addressed? So the other thing I will note is that we are certainly happy to connect you with current students across all of our programs. So whether you're thinking about the MBA or whether you're thinking about an MS program, we certainly have students that are more than willing to connect with you, across, the various programs that we offer. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you might have. But I think we'll wrap here. I think, we were on for about 40 minutes. So I think that's a good kind of window and time frame here. We'll get this out to everyone as well. So any attendees, feel free to, reach out if you have questions. And anybody viewing this at a later time, definitely, we would encourage you to reach out and definitely welcome any questions that you might have. So thank you again, Max and Kieran. Really appreciate your time. If you guys could just stick around for 1 minute after I stop the recording, I just want to touch base on one thing. But again, we appreciate your time, folks. Have a good morning, good evening, wherever you might be coming in from. But thanks again and have a good one.